A brand new season is upon us, and so is a brand new way to get your Glenavon fix every month. Hello and welcome to the Victoria Club Rooms for the Mourneview Monthly, bringing you the latest goals, news and reviews from around the club. I'm Michael Scott.
And I'm Dave Watt. Welcome to our new show. Here's what's on episode 1.
Dave takes a look at our new arrivals. We have all of our pre-season goals. One of our new life members, Remy Flanagan, talks about Glenavon winning the league. And an exclusive interview with Gary Hamilton on the eve of the new season. So, lots coming up on our first show, but it would be remiss of us, Dave, I think, to talk about this season without looking back at last season. And what a strange season it was.
It certainly was. Kicking off late certainly was a bit strange. This time last year, I think quite a lot of guys were out doing painting and gardening and that sort of thing out of the ground to help Davey.
Yeah.
But it was strange.
It was. And we found ourselves doing stuff that we had never done before.
Yes, absolutely. It was sort of this time last year we were thrown together, and initially for the screen, obviously that was launched this time last year, and then it was like, oh, there might not be fans. Can you guys do a live stream?
And we said no.
But pretty much. We did in the end, yeah, and it turned out to be quite successful. I think, even though we say so ourselves, it was quite a good production in the end.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone at home for watching and your support over the course of the year. Because I mean, it not only did it provide the supporters of a way to watch the game, but actually provided the club with some income as well.
It did. I think at last count it was nearly the guts of 10 grand. So thank you very much for all your support, and I'm sure Fraser's very happy with it.
I'm sure he is. I know it's not ideal, you know, the situation where people are having to sit at home, and I know a lot of people weren't able to see the games because they maybe just didn't have the technology, but I think the club did their best in the situation that we were in.
Made the best of a very bad situation, and the fact that we didn't expect to be in the middle of a global pandemic.
That is very true.
You know?
In terms of football itself, I mean, it was weird that we actually played quite well, and probably where we finished probably wasn't a true reflection, I thought, of how well we played during parts of the season.
No, we scored with 65 goals, second only to Linfield, who won the league, but our goals conceded were something like 58 or something like that. Yeah. So that's probably more a reflection of where we did finish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think this season with the signings we've made certainly should counteract that. We'd
hope so anyway, but we'll come to that later whenever you give us your rundown on the new signings. Any memorable moments from throughout the season?
I think there was certainly a few memorable matches. I mean, for obviously the wrong reason, the first game against Portadown was very memorable. It was kind of a strange one because it was a big build-up, and I think we were just caught cold.
Yeah.
I think a lot, like our guys were sort of very long pre-season. Was it happening? Wasn't it happening? When was it happening? Oh, we're playing Portadown, and I just think that our guys were probably a wee bit cold going into it.
Well, hopefully there'll be a chance to address that.
I would certainly hope so.
On Friday?
Yeah, I definitely think so. As far as other memorable moments, I think Ribsy's goal against the Clans was
Yard has a go.
That's the one. But it was a great hit. And Andy Hall's free kicks and that against Carrick. I think that's the best I've seen Andy Hall play in a Glenavon shirt for many a season.
Yeah. I've been impressed as well by the players that we did bring. The likes of Danny Purkis, and I know he obviously joined the middle of the season before, but you really saw him grow into his role, and Fitzy as well.
Yeah. Danny got a big vote of confidence from Gary getting the number 9 shirt for last season, and he really took that and as a morale boost, and he carried that forward into the season and scored 15 goals, which is, I'm not sure the last time a Glenavon player, even with the players we've had, have actually scored more than that. Mm-hmm. So it's certainly been was good for him. And you say Fitzy coming back into, yes, he'd had a few months at Coleraine, but to come into Premier League football at 26, that's certainly and hit the ground running the way he did, was brilliant.
I have to say, one of the players I felt very sorry for last season was Kyle Beggs, who went out on loan. I know there was a few players who went out on loan, but Beggs in particular went out on loan. Didn't get any game time at Ballyclare, but what we've seen him in pre-season, my goodness, what a player.
He looks brilliant. His attitude, I think, has been brilliant. I know obviously there were the guys who were out on loan still trained a wee bit with the first team, but Beggsy has come back, and this season I would say he's probably pushing to be on the right wing for the opening game of the season. This time last year, would we have thought that was the case? Probably not. But as I say, he's 1 year older. He's a bit more life experience about him, and certainly the way he's played in pre-season, a couple of goals. His positional play looks good, and his all-round contribution to the team is certainly... We're hopeful for him anyway.
Yeah, I think we'll have a bit more life experience after the last 18, 19 months. In terms of the new season, what are we hoping for? Now, I don't want to put the scud in anything, but what are we realistically hoping for?
Well, I think...
Can I just get mine out of the road? Avoid relegation.
Well, I think that's the first point every season.
Yeah.
Personally, I think, like you said earlier, we did have a bit of a false position. In the end, we missed out in top six by 1 point. Gary has made no secret of the fact that several refereeing decisions went against us, and referees apologised for those. But at the same time, I'm a firm believer in, if you don't do enough to win a game yourself, blaming the referee sometimes isn't. Obviously, there was definitely cases where, the 4-4 draw against Coleraine, cracking match, brilliant, stonewall penalty last minute, referee pulled it. But I think if we can push top four this season, keep scoring the goals we're scoring, obviously we've added in that respect too, but if the defensive signs we've made can shore up the defence, I definitely think top four is a realistic ambition.
The views of Dave Butler. What about the next month? Obviously, we're coming out here ahead of the new season. We've got a busy... Well, obviously, we've got one game in August because we have time for one game in August.
No, we have two.
No, two, sorry. Yes, of course, Tuesday night. And then it's a busy September. Very
busy September. It's always busy at the start of the season, but obviously we're in a lot of competitions. So Portadown obviously away on Friday. Then we have Larne, Warrenpoint, Hanover in the Mid-Ulster Cup, Carrick Rangers, Portstewart in the League Cup, Ballymena and Linfield. And that's just before the end of September.
Yeah.
So the squad will definitely be called into action. The full panel, I think, will be used.
It's funny you mentioned that, actually, because I think one of the things that has impressed me over pre-season is our squad depth. Because even though we have sort of had a few problems, shall we say, injury-wise, illness-wise, things like that, people being unavailable, we've managed last Saturday and over the last couple of Saturdays to put out two teams amongst ourselves because we haven't been able to get friendlies.
Yeah, no, I think I was very impressed with our ability to do that, and the fact that they were so competitive as well. What also impressed me was in the split friendly between with Crumlin and Ross Ryland, the 20s players and the academy players that were playing in those matches. Sometimes they were a wee bit out of their depth, but overall, they looked comfortable at times when they were playing. Obviously, that's a great experience for those guys, and Gary has obviously made no secret about his passion for the academy and the fact that he wants us to keep producing the Mark Sykes, the James Singletons, the Reece Marshalls, all those guys that have come through, Bobby Burns, Paddy Burns, those guys. And we definitely, obviously, he reckons there's definitely 2 or 3 boys coming through at the minute that will certainly continue that.
Well, it's certainly been a busy summer around the club, and there's been certain developments off the pitch as well. Things are still changing all the time. I know there's certain things have happened due to COVID and stuff like that there, but the things are still being worked on. One of the things I want to talk about are these bad boys here, which are currently on sale in the club shop. I love these.
I think they're great.
These bottle coolers or bottle holders. Obviously with the different shirts from years gone by, I love these. I particularly like this one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
I was a big fan of this kit back in the day. Never got one, but I have obviously a retro kit of that one. I think that's class.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a nostalgic point for from Johnny in the club shop to bring those in, simply because I think they're great. It's something that I don't think we've had in. It's slightly a bit of a novelty, but at the same time, I think it's great that he's got the old shirts, the retro shirts.
Call in the Blue Zone on a Saturday afternoon if you're about, or on a Tuesday night, and go get your merchandise. Absolutely do that.
Definitely.
And also, speaking of other developments around the club, Dave, you're able to give us a bit of information about the new lottery.
Yes, so the development group had a meeting the other night, and we're going to relaunch the club lottery in a slightly different format. You'll still be able to get your paper tickets as they were before, but we're moving online. So effectively what you'll be doing is you can go into the deck, there'll be access around the club rooms as well, and as you come in the gate on a Saturday, there'll be an opportunity to buy lottery tickets. You can also then go online and you have the option to buy for a few weeks in advance. And the whole idea is to try to modernise things and move things forward. The good thing about it, because of the moving things online, it allows us to actually sell tickets much later and closer to the end of the draw. So if it gets to the day of the draw and you forget, you're not having to rush down to the club to throw your lottery ticket in to get to make sure you're in for that week's or month's draw. So on that, what we're going to be doing is it'll be running from pretty much the start of the season right the whole way through to the Linfield match. And at half-time against Linfield, we're going to be doing a draw for a fairly large amount. Keep your eyes peeled to social media, and we will release that closer to the time for the exact figure, but that's the plan moving forward.
If you're not in, you can't win. And remember, for all your latest club news, check out glenavonfc.com and, of course, our social media channels. With a new season, there have been inevitably a few new arrivals. And this summer, there have been a few high-profile ones at Mourneview Park. And Dave has been taking a look at who they are and a wee bit about them as well, who we're going to look forward to seeing. So, Dave, we're going to start off with Decky Brown. Yeah,
he's come in. I think it was a bit of a surprise for a lot of people that we brought in someone, I suppose, of his age, would be the first person.
Vintage, I would say.
That's the one. Look, he's looked really good in the training sessions that I've seen him. He's good with the ball at his feet, which is probably something, aside from Craig, who was in last season, we haven't had maybe for a while, which is good because it means then we can maybe start play from the back a little bit differently. I know obviously Gary likes to play quite direct, but in pre-season we have seen that approach, playing the ball out from the back a little bit. In front of that, as we said earlier, it's no secret that defence was probably our weakest point for the we had a lot of injuries and we have a lot of things as well where from COVID and all that, where we just didn't have the same back four, but we now have probably a much better quality in front of Decky, in front of Jamesy, or whoever plays. Danny Wallace is somebody that personally I've admired for a long time. I said anytime I've ever seen him, he looks awkward to play against. He doesn't, you look at him and you don't think that guy's going to be a really good centre half, but then you watch him play, and I mean, we have to throw in the fact that he did score the 900th goal.
He's got a great goal scoring record for Glenavon.
He does already. he's a couple of goals up on the other boys. Obviously, Hawks has a bit of a head start as well, having played for us for a while.
Sorry, Danny.
Got to be done. Got to be done. Mark Stafford. Mark Stafford is somebody I remember watching for Ballinamallard 10 years ago, and when they first came up, and at that point you could see why Linfield and a few other clubs were sniffing around him, because even when he was in his early 20s, he was a leader, he was a warrior, he won nearly every header, he wasn't afraid to get dirty, and he's a great character to have around the dressing room. It's just unfortunate that he has he had a bit of an injury that he had to have an operation for, but was speaking with him recently, he's certainly looking forward to get stuck in. He's over that. He's doing a lot of rehab with our new physio, Chris, and his assistant, Lauren, which I'm sure we'll mention those guys in a while. Mark Hockey, we know what Mark Hockey is about. He was here. He was captain of the club for a couple of years as well. Again, a captain in his teenage years, in his early 20s. We know what he's about. He's a no-nonsense defender. Scores quite a few goals too, which is always good. And then, of course, I think the headline signing, and again, kudos to Gary for being able to get it sorted, because I know there was a lot of people sniffing around him, was Andy Waterworth. Yes, again, he's probably at the other end of his career, but he'll bring that experience. The fact that he's got the new AFA job with the academy, that will certainly help our younger strikers, but also certainly the guys he's playing with. We mentioned Danny and Fitzy earlier, who certainly have raw talent, but he'll certainly be able to help them.
He's got a great knack of just producing something out of nothing, because we saw that at Port Stewart the other week, where he just at the edge of the box, out of nowhere, just took a shot and found the back of the net. Yeah,
it looked like nothing was on, chested it down, turned, and all of a sudden ball's there, and literally out of nothing, as you say. His hold-up play is really good. The way he brings other people into the game, he's not afraid to pull wide, and I love the way that sometimes strikers can be accused of being very selfish and want to always be the one on the end of it, but he is not afraid to pull wide or play the ball to somebody in a better position, and that again will certainly benefit Danny and Fitzy when they're playing with him, as well as Josh Doyle as well, who we haven't even mentioned.
Yeah.
Somebody who came in January, and he didn't really get a proper crack of the whip because of fitness, because of a lot of other players playing there, and Danny and Fitzy being in great form. And I think that Josh and other players had a great pre-season as well. I just hope that he can carry that through into the season and really give Gary a proper headache.
Yeah, lots to look forward to this season anyway.
Certainly is.
Well, if last year's pre-season was weird, I'd argue that this year's was even weirder. With the Championship and PIL clubs starting their season a bit earlier, it meant that Glenavon for the last couple of weeks haven't been able to get a game except to play amongst themselves. But that said, with Master Plaque in plenty of games, here's a roundup of how they've been getting on.
That's the one, that's the one! That's the big one, that's it!
So hopefully that whets your appetite for the upcoming season. Don't forget to subscribe to the Glenavon Media YouTube channel. Obviously it helps us as a club to be able to improve our content. It is free, and obviously you'll see the post-match highlights and the reaction for each game. Now, pre-season gives some of our younger players a bit of an opportunity to shine. In the recent game against Rathfriland, no fewer than 5 academy prospects played the majority of the match, and our academy director Jason King gave his view on the progress of the academy after that match.
Jason, a great win for Glenavon tonight, but a great night for the academy as well, because quite a few of the young lads got a game today.
Absolutely, Michael. I mean, with 6 lads tonight that are still eligible to play in our under-18s, 2 who are actually still eligible to play with our under-16s who made their debuts here tonight, and a couple of lads actually started the game. From our perspective, I don't think any of them let themselves down. They all demonstrated that, if they continue to work hard and put the effort in with the coaches at the academy and in the 20s, that they might just get to this standard at some point in the coming years.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's a great incentive for them. We can see Gary here doing a bit of a cool down with them as well. To work with somebody at that level and get that bit of experience must do wonders for their confidence.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fantastic that the first team manager's got the confidence in the academy and in the 20s to call these players into the squad, and not only that, but to start 2 or 3 of them in a game like tonight. So he's a fantastic amount of confidence in what we're doing. We're confident in what they're doing, and collectively from 7s right through the first team, we are working together as one unit to try and produce players, to benefit the club going forward and possibly further afield. So look, we work together. We work together from under 7 right up the first team. We talk regularly. Gary's fantastic, and he knows all the lads that are coming through the academy, and he's not afraid to throw them in. He has demonstrated that over the last 7 or 8 years at the club and continues to demonstrate it.
Well, you touched earlier on the lads that played tonight. I mean, what did you make of them?
I thought they did well. I mean, I don't think any of them let themselves down. I thought they all showed that they've got the potential to play at this level in the coming years. And we're delighted. And I think what pleased me is they took it in their stride. They come in and, they played with no fear. They were confident on the ball. They were confident off the ball. And I think that's what pleased me most. And I think that's the exposure that they get, throughout the academy, the trips that they go on, the teams that they play against, the opportunities they get with playing up 2 and 3 age groups if they're good enough. I think that prepares them for a situation like this where they're thrown in a first team game and they approach it and they don't appear nervous. And they do a decent job. So I think it vindicates what we do in terms of playing players up as we go along and putting them into those situations and putting them under stress by playing them in older age groups. I think whenever they get to this stage, then they have a tendency to take it more in their stride.
You sound like a proud man tonight anyways, but sure the lads all enjoyed the experience.
Absolutely. I'm delighted, thrilled for everybody involved. Thank you.
So great to see some of the potential Glenavon stars of the future there.
Yeah, and they've done really well so far this summer.
Yeah, there's been actually quite a lot of good publicity for the academy. They won the bowl at the recent Belfast Youth Club, and that was the 2010s. Another age group played at the Ballinamallard Cup and did quite well at that. Unfortunately, at the Belfast Youth Cup, Bailey McGee broke his ankle. Although, from what I hear, he was asking for 2 moon boots so he can keep playing. Because it was he played on apparently. The semi-final and the final with a broken ankle, cool. As you do these days.
Good man, Bailey. Well done. Well, all the best with the recovery.
Absolutely. At the recent AGM, Raymond Flanagan and Ronnie Quigg were both awarded with lifetime membership of the club. Certainly a great honour for those guys to receive that for a lifetime of service at Glenavon. I'm sure Remy could tell a few stories. It hasn't been an easy ride for him. Here's an interview that he did recently with Glenavon Media.
Remy, you've been made an honorary life member of the club. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel very honoured because for once in my life I was stuck for words, which is not like me, as you well know. But I just had nothing to say. I mean, it just was a real honour, and it showed that the club did appreciate things that I have done here, not just in Stewarden, but there's a lot of work here where new gates and things have been put on that my brother and I worked at, like the gates in the corners, the alley gates and things like that there, and we worked at them there, come up here and did that voluntary, took the stuff down to his place. He did all the welding. I didn't, I just done the donkey work, and we got it all placed the way that Adrian wanted it.
How many years have you been coming now to Falling Glenavon?
I've been coming from August 1953.
That's a long time. At least you've seen Glenavon win the league.
I saw Glenavon win the league, and I saw some great players here in my time, the like of Jimmy Jones, Johnny Danver, Stuarty Campbell, Morse McVeigh, Wilbur Cush, Johnny Matthews, Bobby Armstrong, Lisk, fullback, Walter Dorkin. You know, you could go on and on to them. Now, there's one's older than that, you know, but I'm not old enough to remember them.
Who do you think was the best in your time?
Wilbur Cush.
Why is that?
Well, to me, Wilbur Cush was just the daddy of them all. He was small in stature, but big in heart. I mean, I'll never forget him playing against Wales, and he never gave John Charles a kick at the ball, and it was like little and large going out onto the field. He never even let him get a header.
Tell us a bit about the stewards, because obviously they've been going a long time. I mean, how long has that all been going?
Well, we decided to start the stewarding here in 1995. Now, it was started by the other man who got an honorary membership as well, was Ronnie Quigg. Ronnie was a local police sergeant at the time. He did all the, what would you call it, his job was now, it was setting up things for traffic and things like that. That was Ronnie's job at that time. But we decided to start the stewarding, and Ronnie said that he would help us out. He would give us his knowledge of what he knew been with the RUC at that time. And the thing about it was so funny. Ronnie came up here and tutored us on what to do, but he couldn't be seen to do it until he retired. And then when he retired, he took over as permanent safety officer. But when Ronnie started us off, we got Andy Murphy, I'm sure you've heard of it, who is the head of Avansac. Now, Andy Murphy came here and put us, every one of us, through our training, and we all got the training, and then we got the next level as well to that. And funny enough, I was speaking to him here at the Coleraine game, and he said we're one of the only clubs where the stewards have all stuck together from started. And he would be willing to come back, if we've any new ones, he'd be willing to come back down and run them through it, and there would be no charge for it.
Well, funny you mentioned, I was going to ask you, you're obviously still looking for stewards all the time?
Yes, all the time. We're needing stewards all the time, and thankfully we've got a few this year. We've got a fella, Andrew Trimble, who actually lives in Carrickfergus, is going to come along, and Stuarty has sent us photo and all in. We have Colin Derby, who has come along this year to help us out. We have David Martin. We have Tony Watt, who has volunteered to do it as well. I was actually talking to him in Portrush this week, and for to get his photo and all in. So I mean, the passes is all there for those guys, and anyone that hasn't got full training, well, we will put them somewhere where it's not maybe as needed as much as just maybe they just look after people's seating and things like that there. Anywhere where it's needed somebody with more professionalism, we'll put the trained stewards in there, which we still have about 10 of. So I think we're up now to about maybe 15 stewards, which is going to help the club. Yeah. It's going to save money. You know, it's going to save the club money, and they'll not have to pay for Avansac.
I see the manager coming here. I want to ask you before he comes, how do you think we're going to do this year?
I think we're going to do very well. It's one of the best squads I have seen here. I've come here, and I'm here a long time, but it's one of the best squads. And last week's match and this week's match have been excellent. Actually, this week's match is better than last week's because it was more closer, tighter match. Yeah. But they really done well. Like the boys, there was nobody hedging, there was nobody hiding. And if the manager didn't see that, there's something wrong with him.
Rémi Flanagan, an absolute legend of the club.
He certainly is. He's a character anyway.
He certainly is, that all right. And we'd love to feature a few more characters from around the club as well. Get in touch with us, let us know who you think we should be speaking to, and we will endeavour to get them on our show. Our opening game of the season is this weekend against Portadown, and we've been looking ahead to that with Gary Hamilton. He's been speaking to Glenavon Media to give his thoughts on the season ahead.
Gary, new season ahead of us. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I can't wait. You know, anybody knows me knows I love games. I love being involved in matches. It's the same in pre-season. Even if it's a pre-season game, I love being involved in matches. You want something at stake, and as I say, the league's starting Friday night. I can't wait for it.
How do you sum up our pre-season? Because for me, it's gone fairly well. I mean, it's been difficult with getting games arranged and stuff like that, but from a playing point of view, I mean, you can't be too unhappy.
Listen, what we've seen so far, we're happy with it, but as I say, the proof in the pudding always comes when the league starts and the matches start. You know, I remember one year when I was at Portadown years ago, we had one of the worst pre-seasons I've ever had in my career. and we ended up winning the league. So sometimes pre-season counts for nothing, but certainly, you want to have a good base in pre-season. You want to have good performances individually and as a team, and we've had that. In the games that we've played, we can only play the opposition in front of us, and in the games that we've played, the performance have been excellent, and been really pleased with all the players individually and as a team, whoever's played. And as I say, hopefully that'll stand us in good stead for the start of the season and for the duration of the season.
In the transfer market this summer, we've brought in some really good players. Obviously, Hockey, Stafford, Waterworth, Danny Wallace. Are you happy with what you've done? And obviously, expectations among supporters are going to be raised by those signings. For you, what are your expectations?
Listen, we just want to do better than the previous year. That's the way I've always done my management. It isn't always possible sometimes, because you have a good season like we've had in years gone by, and then you've lost 2 or 3 good players. But last year, in my opinion, we had a decent season. We missed out in the top 6 by 1 point. A lot of refereeing decisions went against us last year. Injuries, we all knew about that as well. But the big Achilles heel that we had last year, we conceded too many goals, and that was down to obviously a lot of defenders getting injured and changing the back 4 every week. But hopefully with the quality that we've brought in, and hopefully this year we'll not get the same injury list that we've had in last season, and hopefully that'll cut the goals against Colm down. And certainly if we do that, then we should improve in where we were last year in terms of points. But as I say, it's all right bringing in players, but they have to perform and they have to produce the goods, and certainly with the reputations that they all come with, it should happen. But we all know, we've seen in the past that sometimes signings don't just always come off. But certainly I'd be confident with the boys that I've brought in, and the way I've seen them perform in pre-season, their attitudes especially. That's the one thing I look for in all players, and certainly the 4 lads and the goalkeeper as well have all had an unbelievable attitude, and that always stands you good stead. If you have a great attitude, you're a winner, and you want to do well and you want to improve. You certainly will do okay, and hopefully that'll bring them through, because we all know they've got the quality. They don't play for Linfield Football Club. The 3 boys that were there for the years that they've played won 4 out of 5 league titles. You don't do that if you don't have quality. But certainly the other side of it is they've got that winning mentality, that attitude, that desire, hunger, and even at their ages, obviously Andy and Staff's a little bit older than Hawks, but they've still that desire to do better and improve themselves. And silly things like Staff's come in, and obviously Linfield play different to the way we play, and he's asking questions all the time. And Staff's is probably 32, 33 years of age. That just shows you the mentality of people. No matter where they play, they want to know, they want to improve, they want to do the best for the team. And certainly it was refreshing for me whenever Staff asked them questions.
In terms of Friday night, the opening game of the season, do you obviously feel we're ready for that game?
Yeah, hopefully. Certainly we've done all we can in terms of coaching staff, in terms of pre-season. We feel we've prepared the boys as best as we can. Obviously, we're not going to lie, we would have preferred more games against championship teams and stuff like that, like we usually do, but it isn't to be, and it's been the same for every team. So obviously some teams have went down the route of playing against Premier League clubs. For me, that was an option. I just feel that, you've seen the Glentoran Coleraine game, there was a bad tackle in it. I think that leads to niggle in the next game. You've seen Carrick go and beat Crusaders 4-0. I think that leads to the Crusaders having their backs up the next game, and certainly raising their standards. So sometimes for me it's not an option to play against teams in your own league. You play them enough, you play them 3 times at least, sometimes 4 times in the league, depending on what they finish in the top 6 or bottom 6, where you finish. And obviously you have the potential of playing them in the League Cup and the Irish Cup as well. So it's a lot of times to play a team in one season, and for me the last thing you needed to be doing is playing them in pre-season as well.
Finally then, Gary, obviously poured down to the opposition going into that game. We played the first game of the season last year as well, didn't go to plan for us. I mean, what are your thoughts going into that match?
Well, certainly we let ourselves down the first match last season. As I said, it's a derby game, not just a derby game, it's a first game of the season where everybody rises their game in the first game of the season. Every player does it. I've seen it year on, year out, year in, year out. As I say, we always, when you look at the fixtures, you want to get the Ireland Fields or your Lawrence or somebody like that in the first match of the season, because it's always a way. You always see a shock result every year on the first day of the season. Last year we got beat by Portadown, deservedly so on the night, but hopefully the boys have learnt from that, and hopefully with the boys that we've brought in, the experience that we've brought in, hopefully we know that we can't play the way we played last year in the first match this season, and expect to get results. So hopefully they'll go in with the right mentality on Friday night, the right attitude, hunger and desire that you need in derby games. It's not about football all the time, it's about who wants it more. As we've seen in years gone by, I remember when you flipped it around, you know, we were down near the bottom of the league whenever I took over, and we got results against Portadown when they were up near the top. So it's football. If your mindset's right, your attitude's right, doesn't matter where you are in the league. It's about who wants it more on the night, and hopefully this year we'll have learnt from our lesson last year, and hopefully we want it more.
Interesting thoughts as always from Gary Hamilton. You never get anything else other than interesting thoughts from Gary Hamilton, right?
Certainly gives us opinion without pulling any punches.
He certainly does. Well, that's it from us for episode 1 of the Mourneview Monthly. It's been great fun, Dave. I've enjoyed it.
I have too, Michael. Hope you guys have also enjoyed it at home.
Yeah, let us know what you thought in the comments, and if you've any ideas for features or people you think we should be speaking to, let us know.
Yeah. We'll be back at the end of September with a review of some of the matches in September, and I look forward to anything happening in October, where we'll be playing 4 of last season's top 6.
It's going to be a tough month, all right. Keep an eye on our social media channels as well for all the latest news, and of course glenavonfc.com.
Big thanks to the Victoria Club for allowing us to use their club room, and obviously our media team sponsors Embroidery. We'll be doing a piece on them in due course, but we really appreciate their sponsorship this season. If you are in need of any schoolwear, they have access to all the uniforms for the schools in the Lurgan area. They also do club and team wear, so definitely get in touch with the guys about that. And as well, Leavers hoodies, certainly for primary school and for secondary school. So have a look at embroidery.co.uk.
Definitely do. Well, that's it from us. Until September, all the best. Thanks now. Bye-bye.
See you then.